Hello, we are back with another episode of VGC Guides. I know it looks like I disappeared after 4 videos, but I assure you I'm back. I was simply on vacation for Thanksgiving, and there was some sort of error with the video files I had scheduled to post on Saturday and Sunday, so they never went up. Nevertheless, it's okay, because I've decided I want to take this channel in a slightly different direction. Initially, I had wanted to cover all the new Pokemon of Paldea, but some of them don't appear to be worth breaking down to me. I'm sorry, Cloth. Also, a few people have been asking when I'll start the actual battling content, and that is coming soon. I've got a heat team in the making that I've been testing on Showdown. I've just got to get it actually built in game. For now, I'm going to focus on some of the new Pokemon that I think are going to be really good in the 2023 VGC season. So I'm starting that idea off with one of the 4 Treasures of Ruin Pokemon, Chi-Yu. Alright, so we're here with Chi-Yu. Yeah, I'm recording. So we're here with Chi-Yu. When I first started using this Pokemon on Showdown, I didn't think it was a fish. I don't know what I thought it was, but it wasn't a fish. And then I started looking into its origins on Bulbapedia. Just trying to figure out where this thing came from because it looked cool, it sounded cool. I figured this had some sort of like origins and mythology. And what ended up happening is I spent like 2 hours going down this rabbit hole of Chinese mythology, learning about all sorts of like ancient Chinese deities and gods and whatnot. Very cool stuff. If you have like an hour to 2 hours out of your day, if you're just sitting around doing nothing, I very much recommend reading into it. It's very cool. Okay, so onto the actual Pokemon itself. Dark Fire typing is really great, like really great offensively, right? You hit 6 types total for like super effective with your stabs, but you hit every other type in the game for at least neutral, right? So like offensively, you're really Chi-Yu is really set offensively. Defensively, it's not bad. You're weak to like some common types like ground and fighting, but in general, like you have a neutral matchup into Fairy, and with Terra, you can actually alleviate like a good chunk of your weaknesses as well. The next thing I want to talk about is its ability. Its ability is very interesting. Along with all the other Treasures of Ruin Pokemon, Qianpao, Tinglu, and Wuqian, it has an ability, something of Ruin, right? Qianpao's a Sword of Ruin, Tinglu's I think is a Vessel of Ruin, I don't remember what Wuqian's is, and this one has Beads of Ruin. So the power of this Pokemon's Ruinous Beads lowers the SPDEF stats of all Pokemon except itself. This is very good in singles, and it's very good in doubles as well. It takes some getting used to, having to like get used to the fact that your ally Pokemon has lowered SPDEF. But with like Snarl support from Arcanine or anything else that gets Snarl, and screen support from say like Grimmsnarl or something, like it's very easy to mitigate and just work around. And honestly, like if you're just faster, it doesn't matter. If you're faster in getting Okos, it doesn't matter. So yeah. It takes some getting used to when you first start using it, but once you get a handle on it, it's actually an insane ability. So now we can move on to this thing's stats, right? Oh, I'm scrolling now. Okay. So 55 HP, 80 defense, 120 special defense. Not great because this 55 HP is really low. You cap out at 130 HP without investment. Like your 80 defense and 120 special defense kind of make up for it, but in general the problem is even though you have fairly decent bulk, you're taking hits for low damage, but it's still large percentages of your HP, right? Next I want to talk about 100 speed, right? 100 speed is that benchmark that I like my mons to hit. Now I know 100 speed is not necessarily, it's not the same benchmark every single generation, but it's still a benchmark that I like to hit. I know in the past 100 base speed has been used to hit things like I think Mega Kangaskhan might have been 100 speed. Don't quote me on that. I know last gen like Charizard was 100 base speed, so being faster than Charizard was really good. So yeah, that's where my like fascination with like 100 base speed comes in. I don't know if that's relevant yet. It'll be more clear as time goes on and the format develops. But the thing I really want to talk about is this thing's base 135 special attack. Now 135 special attack is already really great. Like Chandelure, who is capable of insane damage, had 145 special attack, which, by the way, before they patched it, was Chi-Yu's special attack. The first edition of this game had Chi-Yu's special attack at 145. I'm not necessarily glad they changed it, but it makes it somewhat more manageable. And the other thing I want to talk about is you kept out at 187 stat at a neutral nature with max EVs, at level 50 specifically. 187 stat, and I know the calcs technically work differently than this, but with Beads of Ruin, you essentially have a stat of 233 special attack, which is equivalent to a base 181 stat, which is very, very good, right? 181 special attack is insane. That's like Zacian levels of strong, Zacian unboosted levels of strong. a little bit stronger. So yeah, this one has like very insane damage output, right? And so now we gotta talk about this thing's moves. Spoiler alert, this thing has a very like shallow move pool. One second. Has a very shallow move pool, but it's kind of okay because of the spammability of its types, right? So right off the bat, you have Will-O-Wisp if you want to burn some things. You can use this. I don't recommend using it, but you can. You have Nasty Plot to boost your special attack. This is really, really great. This thing with +2 special attack, even with like resisted hits, is still taking like huge chunks out of resisted Pokemon. You get Dark Pulse, really great spammable Dark type move with a 20% chance to flinch, and yeah, 20% chance to flinch is very tilting for the person you flinch, and it's very funny to the guy doing the flinching. And you know, where there's a flinch chance, there's a way. You also get Lava Plume, which can pair nicely with like Flash Fire Pokemon, or like I brought up in the Baxcalibur vid that you could do this. Now granted, because this thing lowers your special defense, I don't recommend doing it next to Baxcalibur, but you could. It also gets Ruination, which is the move that all the Treasures of Ruin Pokemon get. It's these Pokemon's versions of Nature's Madness. It's 90% accurate, and it cuts their HP in half. Because it's 90% accurate, it will not be hitting 90% of the time. It will be hitting more like 70% of the time, but we all know how that is. It's a decent move if you want to hit like really tanky mons that you maybe won't be doing over 50% to. Perhaps they're boosted. So yeah, that's definitely an option. Or maybe you're just hitting into something that like somehow manages to double resist your stabs, right? Or like somehow manages to resist your stabs. Then this could be good. In general, I wouldn't recommend it. Next moves you get Overheat, which can be really good for like insane burst damage. With Overheat, 135 base special attack, and Beads of Ruin, you're actually going to make like you're going to chunk some insane Pokemon. Like you're going to do insane amounts of chunk to these Pokemon. Moving on, you get some better moves. You get some more moves here. Like you could run Hex if you're running like Prankster T-Wave Grimmsnarl, or I don't know if anybody can hear that, but there are sirens outside of my apartment right now. I don't know what it is. Everything should be fine. It should go away in a couple minutes. Anyways, you get Hex, which you can make work with like Prankster T-Wave Grimmsnarl or just fast Will-O-Wisp mons. I don't personally recommend doing this because it's not hard to play, but it's situational. You also get Snarl on this mon if you wanted to run more of a support set with like Protect, Heatwave, Snarl, Will-O-Wisp. It's possible you could do that. Moving on, you get down the list, holy. You can get Taunt, not great. Better Taunt Pokemon like Grimmsnarl. You do get Substitute, but again, not great. I'd rather just do damage with this Pokemon. I brought up Heat Wave. You do get Psychic, which allows you to hit your Dark type weak Pokemon, or your Dark type counters. Did I say Dark type? I meant Fighting type. Give me sorry, I'm tired. But yeah, so with Psychic you can hit your Dark type fighting. Oh my god, your Fighting type counters. And then you get Flamethrower as well if you don't want to run the. You get Flamethrower if you don't want to run like a spread move in Heat Wave, or like if you want to run like a perfectly accurate Fire type move that's not Heat Wave. You get Flamethrower as well. I brought up Nasty Plot. You could run Fire Blast if you really wanted to, but if you're gonna run Fire Blast, why not just run Overheat? It's higher base power and higher accuracy. Yes, you have to switch, but I'd rather hit my moves and switch than miss my moves. 85% accurate is deceptively low. Granted, 90% accurate is also deceptively low, but it's better. No, yeah. So yeah, that's Chi-Yu's moveset. I think it's personally like a really great moveset. It's, like I said, it's basically just its stabs plus like Psychic. But because its stabs are Fire and Dark, and two of the most like spammable offensive types in the game, it kind of makes up for it, right? And so now let's move on to this thing's like potential sets, right? We're gonna add another one right now, just because I brought this up. So yeah, there's like 6 potential sets you can run on this Pokemon. The first one being like Life Orb. This is the one I've been using in testing. Life Orb is on this Pokemon is really strong. Life Orb in combination with Beads of Ruin is, I personally think it's like a very, very good combination. You do insane damage with this. For the most part, I would say like you want to Terra Fire this mon as well. You could run Terra Dark if you wanted to. I've had more success with Terra Fire just because you eliminate like your neutral to Fluttermane stabs, or Fluttermane's Dazzling Gleam specifically, as well as you eliminate like your weakness to Iron Hands like Drain Punch and whatnot, which can OHKO you if you're a Dark type, right? As for moves, like the set that I've been running lately is Protect, Flamethrower, Dark Pulse, and Heat Wave. Not Haze. Holy. Protect, Flamethrower, Dark Pulse, Heat Wave. And this last slot, like when I first started using the Mon, it was Nasty Plot because I liked the ability to boost. I was running like a team very heavily centered around boosting. But again, you could run Heat Wave, you could run Overheat, which I'll bring up in a minute. You could run Psychic on this. Like you could technically run this as well if you wanted to be able to hit more types for super effective. Psychic gives you the ability to hit like you're fighting in poison types in the meta, which, you know, it has its uses, right? But again, like for the most part, I've been having success with Protect, Flamethrower, Dark Pulse, Heat Wave. You're pretty much always going to run like max speed, max special attack on this Pokemon. If you're very confident in your ability to be faster than your opponent with like Tailwind and Icy Wind support, like you could run less speed on this Pokemon. I've literally never had to do anything besides this. On the Life Orb set, you could run the 4 HP because at level 50, you only have 130 HP versus putting the 1 EV or like the 1 stat in your HP allows you to be at 131, which means you're taking ever so slightly less than 10% from Life Orb chip. So it's technically optimal, but either way, like you're so frail, it's not going to make much of a difference. The next set I want to talk about is Choice Scarf. This is a set that I can see doing really well. Choice Scarf, Beads of Ruin. And this I see doing really well because you obviously want to do like your Dark Pulse, you run your Heat Wave, you run your Psychic, and then you run like a move of choice here. Like for the most part, you'll probably see like Flamethrower. Again, for the most part, you'll see Flamethrower, but you could see things like Hex in that slot. You could see things like Overheat in that slot. You could see Taunt in that slot. I don't see this being happening very much, but you could see it. I could see Will-O-Wisp in that slot even, or even like if you wanted to, like you could run a Ruination in that slot as well. Something very possible is this being a set. I kind of forgot about Ruination on this set as well. It's another optional move that you can do. But I very much see like this being a set, being able to just chip them on for half, outspeed and chip them on for half right off the bat is really great. But I still think you'll chip most things for half with like Dark Pulse and Heat Wave. And again, like you could Terrafire on this one. If you really wanted to, I don't recommend this, but if you're worried about getting hit by like a Mach Punch on your Scarf set, you could run like Terra Psychic and just resist the Mach Punch, but at that point, why not just run Terra Ghost, right? There's obvious reasons why you wouldn't run Terra Ghost there, but the next set that I want to talk about is Choice Specs. Oops. Now, do I think this Pokemon needs any more help hitting its targets? No, I don't. I really don't. I think this Mon hits targets just fine. Do I think it would be really funny if I clicked Overheat, like Terrafire boosted Beads of Ruin, Choice Specs boosted Overheat into a Water type and O-coded? Yes, I think that would be very funny. And so the Choice Specs set, I very much see like Dark Pulse, Flamethrower or Heat Wave. I think on this set it would be Heat Wave. Overheat is possible in this set. It's very possible in this set because you could like Overheat and Overheat again, and it would still do like a good bit of damage even at -2, and then again like a move of your choice. I very much see like this being a very strong spec set, just because Overheat into Overheat with this ability and this stab could do a lot of damage. With the spec set, if you're very, very confident in your ability to be faster than your opponent, you could run it modest. Only if you are very confident in your ability to be faster than the opponent. The next set we want to talk about is a Focus Sash set. It basically operates the same way as the Life Orb set does. You know, your Protect, your Stabs, and then a move of your choice on the last one. Again, Flamethrower, Hex, Overheat, it could kind of work, Nasty Plot. You get the point, right? A move of your choice in the last slot. The next set, and I just kind of thought of this like 2 minutes before recording the video, and it's very hard to make work, but it would be really funny, is like Eject Pack, right? It's not a move, it's not an item that's seen a lot in VGC, especially because when it was introduced, we had Arcanine, and we had Incineroar, and we had Landorus T. We had like, and 2 of those are really, like, we had Arcanine until Incin became a thing, and then Incineroar just kind of, it was on like almost every team in Sword and Shield VGC, and so it was very hard to make Eject Pack work on a Pokemon. But I think it would be really funny to like Eject Pack Overheat. You click Overheat, you switch out into either a Resist or an Immunity, only to come back in later in the game and still have some insane burst damage with overheat. Like I said, I don't think this will be very good because lowering stats is a very common thing in VGC, and Arcanine is kind of like the king of limited dex formats because it replaces the Incineroar and Landorus T's that are the Intimidators in net dex formats. So Arcanine is still going to be like everywhere. I'm not sure where it sits on the list, but it might be like one of the most yeah, it's the third most used Pokemon. So it's like possible to make it work, but I don't recommend trying Eject Pack. It'd just be really funny. The last that I wanted to talk about, and I talked about this in like an earlier draft of this video and kind of talked about it with the moves, would be like a support set, right? So you most likely run Focus Sash on it. You run your Protect because you don't have the bulk to not run Protect. You run your Snarl, you run your Will-O-Wisp, and then you run your Heat Wave, right? Heat Wave in case you get taunted. Will-O-Wisp to burn things, Snarl. This basically accomplishes the same thing like Arcanine accomplishes. So like Chi-Yu support set is faster, worse Arcanine, right? Because Arcanine is like 95 speed, this thing is 100 speed. So it's just a faster, worse version of Arcanine. And that's like a potential support set that you can run. I don't personally recommend this set. You could if you wanted. Like if you really don't want to run Arcanine, you could run this. I would just run Arcanine because it can do the exact same things, but it's bulkier. So yeah, that's Chi-Yu. As a general overview, I think this is a very strong Pokemon. I see this thing having a lot of success in the 2023 VGC season. I've been wrong before about this kind of things, but I see this thing having like a high level of success. Like it's a very one-dimensional Pokemon. Like I said, you're pretty much only clicking your stabs and going Terrafire, but you can make this into other things. Like I said, you could run surprise support sets, and like Beads of Ruin. Once again, Beads of Ruin is pretty hard to get used to, but once you do, it's really not that much of a hindrance. It's like a minor annoyance once you get used to playing with it. And then I will say, spoilers to the team that I'm working on, this is very strong alongside Terra Steel Dragonite with Protect, Dragon Dance, Iron Head, Earthquake. That plus Chi-Yu, like your stabs can hit so many types super effectively. So yeah, little spoiler alert to what's coming. I am working on building that team in game. It shouldn't take me more than a few days, and then I'll have battling content up with that team. So yeah, that's all I got for Chi-Yu. I'm really excited to use this Mon, and for the question of the day, what Pokemon are you looking forward to using in Gen 9? And that can be either casually in your playthroughs, or second playthroughs, or farming, or competitively in VGC or 6v6 singles. Just let me know. And again, don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate it if you do. I'd really like to get this I'd really like to get this channel to 50 subscribers by the end of the year. Getting it to more or getting it to that sooner would be amazing, but I'd really like to be at least 50 by the end of the year. So yeah, I think that's all I got. So have a great day or night or whatever time of day it is for you, and peace.